Israel news. It's not just before we even dive into, because there's a lot that has been going on in Israel. And again, follow our Telegram channels. You'll stay up to date by the minute, by the hour, because it really is happening that fast. And Israel is God's prophetic time clock for the end of the ages. Romans 10 verse 1 is where I want to begin before I dive into the news. Brothers and sisters, my heart's desire and prayer to God for the Israelites is that they may be saved. We pray for those hearts of stone to become hearts of flesh, for scales to fall from their eyes, for them to read passages like Isaiah 53 and Psalm 22 and many more, and see their Messiah revealed to them from their own scriptures, and embrace him and fall on their knees and cry out, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And we will continue to pray that, because every Jew that accepts Jesus, Yeshua, as their Messiah can skip the time of Daniel's 70th week, Jacob's trouble that lies ahead. Okay, Hamas says they may give up rockets. They will consider this and mortars as part of the ceasefire with Israel, according to a senior official in the terror group. However, they do not appear ready to give up weapons or influence inside Gaza. Now, am I missing something? Was that not part of the treaty that Trump rolled out, that they were going to hand over their weapons, play no part in the future, and move along quietly? Wasn't that part of the plan? Now they want to, it sounds like they want to negotiate a ceasefire treaty now, starting now. Hello? You've already given the living hostages back. You've only got some of the dead left. You don't have a lot to stand on. It's absolute insanity that they even think they can still be negotiating. They should be handing down their weapons and getting out of Dodge fast. But here we are. After Hezbollah's defeat, Iran building up Iraqi forces for war with Israel. Tehran has provided advanced weapons to pro-Iranian militias in Iraq as part of an effort to replace Hezbollah as a regional proxy capable of threatening Israel. So the octopus is at work again. Its tentacle here is focused in Iraq. Is Israel surprised at all? Israel steps up readiness amidst rising threat from Iran-backed militias in Iraq. Both the IDF and Mossad have been refining contingency plans in response to what officials describe as a slow but deliberate Iranian effort to open a new front against Israel. So Israel knows what's coming. Mossad's on top of the intelligence. They know exactly what the plan is. The rest of the world is choosing ignorance with what Iran is doing, as usual. And Israel is used to fighting a multiple front battle. Israel's DM Katz warns Hezbollah plays with fire, and Lebanon's president is dragging his feet. Defense Minister Katz issued the strident warning to Israel's northern neighbor Lebanon as the process of disarming Hezbollah appears to be stalling while the terror group ramps up efforts to rearm. They're trying to stay relevant. They want to make sure Iran keeps supplying them. They're trying to get back in the game. Stupid. Israel has detected significant Hezbollah buildup. At a security briefing convened by the Prime Minister, senior defense officials warned Hezbollah is accelerating its armament and infrastructure rehabilitation efforts. Officials revealed that they are smuggling short-range rockets from Syria. Syria is trying to be mainstream. Syria wants to be accepted. Deploying terrorists in villages near the Israeli border. According to security sources, Hezbollah is actively rebuilding structures damaged in previous strikes and continues to station loyal operatives throughout the area. So, are we surprised? No. Is Hezbollah going to be successful? No. Turkey expands regional and global ambitions, raising alarm bells in Israel. They are strengthening their ties with Syria, Lebanon, Iran, and the Gulf states while pressing for a role in post-war Gaza. The trend is raising alarm bells in Israel and the broader region amid shifting Middle East power dynamics. As part of the push to expand regional influence and strengthen strategic partnerships, Turkey has signed a memorandum of understanding with Syria, expanding military cooperation to cover training, advisory support, and access to weapon systems and logistics. Netanyahu stated Turkey's participation in the International Stabilization Force would be out of the question and be labeled a red line. Sorry. So this is a very hard no from Israel. Major red line. Turkey will have no part to play. Turkey is openly supporting Hamas, openly does not see them as terrorists, and openly meets with them regularly. They openly hate Israel and openly stand against Israel. So why would Israel allow them anywhere near Israel to come and work there? Obviously, it would be nefarious purposes if they were allowed there. US proposes international Gaza force to UN as Turkey pushes for a role amidst concerns over Hamas support. The United States proposed a draft resolution for the international force and raised concerns that Ankara's growing influence in the enclave could strengthen Hamas. Based on the proposed draft resolution, participating countries in the force would be granted a broad mandate to maintain security and administer the war-torn enclave through the end of 2027, with the possibility of extending, possibly to 2030. Troop deployments are expected to begin as early as January. However, Israel is repeatedly opposing any involvement of Turkish security forces in post-war Gaza. Experts warn that Turkey, a key backer of Hamas, could shield the group in Gaza or even strengthen its infrastructure as it seeks a role in post-war efforts. Then Syria, that wants to be mainstream, demands that Israel gives up the Golan. Syria launched a renewed diplomatic campaign demanding international recognition of its claim to the Golan Heights. Speaking before the UN Security Council, their envoy declared the Golan will remain Arab and Syrian and called for decisive international action against Israel. The move is backed by Turkey, surprise, and several Arab states. In Jerusalem, officials responded that Israel will not surrender even 1 centimeter of the Golan. The push comes as Syria attempts to rehabilitate its global standing under its new strongman, Abu Muhammad al-Julani. Al-Julani, the senior commander in Jabhat al-Nusra, the Syrian branch of Al-Qaeda, during the civil war, forces under his authority carried out executions and expulsions of Druze and Christian communities in Idlib, parts of Aleppo, entire villages pressured to convert or face removal. So he did all of that. The world kept quiet. They didn't bat an eye. We covered it here on the channel. And now suddenly everyone's shaking his hand and he's one of the 100 most influential men on the planet. Interesting. And now he's crying for the UN to restore Syria's sovereignty and sort Israel out. At the same time, he wants to be friends with Israel. Hey, we want to be buddies, but we're first going to raise some resolutions against you at the UN. It's what friends do. New Gaza rises. Anti-Hamas militias backed by Israel's claim local rule and vow to fight Qatar, Turkey, and Iran. As the ceasefire holds uneasily, 4 Israel-backed militias fighting Hamas are moving to fill the power vacuum, pledging to cooperate with most international forces in the rebuild, but vowing to resist any presence from Qatar, Turkey, or Iran. The militias, mainly in southern Gaza, are not part of US President Donald Trump's proposed plan for an administration in the enclave. So interesting. And Israel's supporting them because they're doing the job for Israel against Hamas. How successful that'll be remains to be seen. Israeli minister urges Jews to flee Hamas supporter Mamdani after New York mayoral win. Israeli officials expressed dismay, but Muslim mayor-elect vows to fight anti-Semitism. Amichai Chikli, Israel's Minister of Diaspora Affairs, described Mamdani's victory as a critical turning point for the city of New York that shakes the foundations of the place that offered freedom and opportunity to countless Jewish refugees. The Jews of New York need to seriously consider making their new home in the land of Israel, he said. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir described the result as anti-Semitism's triumph over common sense. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said they would not be deterred by what he called Mamdani's inflammatory remarks. There's a couple of things that could happen here, and I'm not surprised that he won. I'm not surprised that he's so openly and pro-Muslim, that he's fighting the anti-Muslim sentiment, never mind anti-Semitism, and that he wants to bring so much change and everything. He wants to be the people's hero as Islam infiltrates and slowly takes over. New York being a really good test case for them before they roll it out to the rest of the nation. So really interesting to see what's going to happen, how the Jews are going to react, how many more are going to make Aliyah and move back to Israel. But this is the Antichrist's army entrenching everywhere in first world nations, awaiting their orders when he steps onto the scene. That's my opinion. Saudi sources say that normalization with Israel by the end of the year is virtually impossible. The source noted that Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, views recognition as conditional upon Israel taking an irrevocable major step towards a Palestinian state, which Donald could probably try and force. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is preparing for his first visit to Washington in 7 years. Interesting that MBS is using 7, which is such a prophetic marker in the Bible, with years. 7 years since his last visit. Scheduled for mid-November 2025. While Trump hopes to secure a breakthrough on normalization during this trip, officials from Saudi indicate the kingdom's immediate goals lie elsewhere, chiefly finalizing a mutual defense pact with the US and advancing a civilian nuclear program. They also want F-35s and so forth, and all those things to be wrapped up. Now, Donald Trump can use those as levers to try and force the Israel normalization issue, and if he can get Saudi on board with that and get Israel to acknowledge a future Palestinian state, then that should be a whole bunch more Arab states joining behind MBS in the normalization process of the Abraham Accords. An agreement, if you will, being prepared and set up with many that someone can come and strengthen. Kazakhstan now joining the Abraham Accords. This is going to show that the Abraham Accords is a club that many countries want to be a member of, and it will be a step for turning the page on the war in Gaza and moving towards more peace and cooperation in the region, a US official said. The outlet reported that Kazakhstan's president, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, is expected to make the announcement during his meeting with President Donald Trump. Trump recently signaled that more nations may soon be joining the Abraham Accords, with Syria and Saudi Arabia at the forefront of efforts to expand the historic normalization pact. Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Sharaa is expected to meet with Trump at the White House, followed by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on November the 18th. It is important to recognize the principles mentioned in the Abraham Accords state, now this is interesting, listen to this, that interfaith and intercultural dialogue can advance a culture of peace among the 3 Abrahamic religions and all humanity. A concept notably absent in the Egypt and Jordan peace treaties with Israel. Thus, all signatories should strive for the goal of seeking tolerance and respect for every person to make this world a place where all can enjoy a life of dignity and hope, no matter their race, faith, or ethnicity. A culture of peace among the three Abrahamic religions and all humanity. Bring them all together, the three which are the biggest amount of humanity: Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and then through them coming together into a sort of a mishmash of understanding and interfaith dialogue leading to that one world religion, all of humanity will filter into this agreement with many. And that one world faith will end up worshipping the beast. Sounds like a really cheery future that they're all pushing for. Glad that I'm not going to be here. But hectic how fast things are moving. So continue to pray for Israel. Pray for more people in that part of the world and everywhere to receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and to just have that moment of clarity that they can break through the darkness and receive the light that is Christ and be set free from their chains and have that chance for the hope that is within us. God bless. Keep looking up. Time is literally done. Shalom.